today. Alan Repke at Inform TV. We're here at the Alexandria Technical College in front of their law enforcement center that has trained police officers, sheriff's deputies, and highway patrolmen, both for a 2-year degree as well as a big program every summer to bring 4-year graduates in that are in law enforcement that don't have the hands-on experience at the institution that they were at. And we're going to be taking a look at Miller 64 as an alternative. We are sitting with our legislature here in Minnesota that wants to legalize pot. We've already legalized what I call gummies, the THC from hemp that has the same chemical compound, I believe, as marijuana. And if we're going to do that, I want the independents and the Republicans to come forward with a bill that gives our full-time students as well as our military people that belong to the National Guard. We've got a armory here that trains on the weekend. They're National Guard people. We're responsible young adults that have graduated from high school and are a minimum of 18 years old and are full-time students at a college like here in Alexandria as a test ground to see if we can give them some alcoholic beverages on the weekend. Let them have a beer or two at one of the businesses that I picked here right on the mall, Viking Plaza Mall, and I did a little shoot on that so we can see if we get our young adults to learn to drink rather than go out to a party and drink as much as they can. Because clearly with the law enforcement center, they have the tools to do some monitoring of if you do a Miller 64, it's 64 calories, and as far as alcohol by volume, it's 2.8. And compared to a light beer at 4.1 or a full-strength beer, I believe at about 5% alcohol by volume. So we're just going to give you a little tour of the college here and the layout, I should say, as far as why it makes sense to get our legislature here in Minnesota and a viewpoint around the nation to see if we can bring our young students and young military enlistees into responsible drinking. And I'm just going to turn the camera here and show you this large facility. Then we're going to go in front of the dorm because I only want it available for students that live in a dorm so we can monitor these young people after they've had a beer or two, and we'll see what effect it has on them and see if we can put a program to encourage our young people to stay in school and be sound students, because unless they're passing grades, they're not going to get this privilege. So Alan Repke, I'm just going to step forward and show you, spin the camera off to the side here and give you a look at this nice facility here in Alexandria, Minnesota that has various big area in there for them to bring cars in and potential situations that our police officers will confront. And especially here in Minnesota with all the problems we're having in Minneapolis, St. Paul, and that is spilling over to the Mall of America and etc. We're going to move to the dormitory now, and then we're going to take a little trip with you on about a mile walk these students could be in, or we could bus them there, but I think the walk is will give an idea for, if we do some testing, to see how long a Miller 64 is in their system. And the Miller 64 is readily available, so some parents can even do some testing what they think about it, and if they're a beer drinker that normally drinks a light beer at 4.1% alcohol, 1% alcohol by volume, or a full-strength beer that's about 5. We're moving to the front of the beautiful dormitory that we have here, and soon they're going to build a second one that houses 150, and when they get the next one done, we'll have 300 students here in Alexandria living in the dormitory. Well, I'll give you a little quick look at the dormitory that houses 150 students, and we're soon going to be building one on the north side of the campus for another 150. We'll give you a little quick look of the front, the west side of the Alexandria Technical and Community College here in Alexandria, and we're pan a little bit to show you what this beautiful facility is, and pan down across that parking lot where you see some cars. They want to build another dormitory for another 150 students, which I'm 110% in favor of. So I hope they get the money lined up so we can break ground come this summer. And it's right across from the Alexandria Hospital here in town, and we'll get a little idea of the original, what they call Foundation Hall here in Alexandria, that's just in high demand and has been since the first year they built it. And we're going to take you down what I call a path to responsible consumption of alcohol, learning the ropes, the limitations, yet some relaxation and fun that a few beers can have. And this sidewalk, there's about a mile walk to get down to Viking Mall, and we're going to take my camera down this sidewalk and by Dairy Queen and Senex and show you where, after they have a couple of beers or whatever we find out works or doesn't work for young people, they can walk back and let's see how much of their alcohol content wears off in a mile walk back. Well, we'll give you a little idea of the path down to a little coffee shop now that also can be a testing spot for some beer consumption. Hospital's right over there. Senex, the new Senex store, the brand new one, right next to the Dairy Queen. And then when we pan around, there's a new sidewalk right on the west side of 3M here in town. So we give you an idea of the path for these students to walk. I'm going to see if I can hold my camera steady here. We're right along Highway 29 here in Alexandria. So by walking, we'd kind of have the public watching these students, experimenting with, can we reward them for being in school or in the military and come into adulthood with responsible drinking. We tried quite a few years ago of just opening it up for students 18. That did not work out, and I'm not implying that in any manner, shape, or form, nor am I implying they should be able to buy off sale. Strictly in a controlled bar environment to learn the process of alcohol and adulthood and enjoying a meal or whatever with your friends. Here's the nice sidewalk, goes all the way down the freeway. As the sidewalk comes to a couple of controlled crossings and then continues down past the Midway Mall here in Alexandria, going past the Cub store, right by Glenwood State Bank here in town, and an area that will work good to get some insight on rewarding our students and our young military people to start the process of being adults. Well, our nice sidewalk comes down on the west side of the Midway Mall and can lead our students right to Viking Plaza Mall. And then over to the spot that I picked out with approval of the owner, right over here, and we'll give you a little idea of the potential of that. Well, for our test location, it says Sweet Beans and Coffee House. We might have to get her to change the sign to say Sweet Beans and Beer Coffee House, but this is the entrance of one of two. It also goes in from the mall entrance, so we're just going to set this camera down for a second and go on in and show you the nice facility here for our test of Miller 64. Miller 64, it's a universal beer, a good tasting beer with low alcohol content of just 2.8% by volume. That's why it works great for a test of students and young military people. Well, now we're inside our selected spot to give our young people a chance to have an alcoholic beverage that's not too high in alcohol and have a bite to eat. And we're lucky enough to have Ann here that is going to allow us to do it if I get all the ragged edges taken care of. Well, to show you, we're right on one of the north entrances of the mall here in Alexandria, and so it's a great location for access, but not just for young people, for people in town to have a cup of coffee or a light lunch. Just a unique, nice little setting here, and I know will work very well if we can just get the authorities to work with us, whether it's the state college system, the governor, or the legislature. Well, we're with the owner of the establishment here. And tell us about your little business venture you just got started here in Alexandria.
Yep, it's called Sweet Beans, and we're right here in the mall, Viking Plaza Mall. And we're about 3-4 weeks since we started, and it's just some pastries and a little bit of lunch, a light lunch, and lots of different coffee and espressos and whatnot. It's a good place to come at 9 to 2, Wednesday through Sunday, and I think you have a great idea going on, and I hope that we can be a part of your idea.
I certainly do, because you're the right personality to oversee our young people. And yet at the same time, I want to encourage people to come here. You got a great little bread bowl that you put soup in for me the other day. I know you got some great pastries here, and we always welcome another business to Alexandria.
Absolutely.
And give us a little background on how you got in it. Where did you grow up? And come a little closer to the camera, please.
I grew up here in just in Garfield, so just right outside of town.
Okay.
And we I've always worked in the industry. I've always loved cookies. So I think everybody does. But and so I always kind of had this as an idea that I wanted to do eventually, and just finally decided to give her a try.
Well, that's great. I appreciate you talking to Inform TV, and hopefully we get this going, and for sure bring some people in town to your wonderful little business for a cup of coffee or a bowl of soup or whatever. So thank you, Ann, for letting us do this cut so we can see if we can get some responsible beverage consumption for our college students in Alexandria and hopefully all over the state and nation.
Yes. Thank you.